Hello and welcome out to this week's episode of Gamers Council. And yes, we were supposed to have Randall Thor 19 on again this week. Unfortunately, Rand is sick. So Rand is under the weather. So we do apologize for that. He did say he will try and get on next week or the week after. But we totally understand. Rand's canceled his own show for not feeling good. So we're definitely not going to try and make him come on ours. And we do appreciate Rand very much. And of course, he's had a tough couple of weeks anyway, so we're gracious to anything he can do in the future, and I'm sure he will join us. So please, sorry about that. If we're tuning in to watch Rand, know that he's under the weather, and we'll send him some well wishes to make him get to feeling better. All right.
Absolutely.
With that said, RHETRI, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, Dave? It's yeah. I mean, I feel bad for Rand. He's had a tough month. So if you don't feel good, you don't feel good. So I don't blame him. So
not at all.
It is what it is. But I'm doing good. Happy to be here. Welcome everybody who's already in the chat already. We're just getting started, obviously. So we'll talk about some light subject stuff to start off with. But tonight's gonna be probably some stuff you've already heard before. We'll be talking about and some new stuff. We talking about some Redfall, some Hellblade, some little Phil interview action, kind of our thoughts about what happened during that, and some other subjects that we got to talk about. So it's definitely going to be a good show. So I'm excited.
Yep. I'm right there with you. So it is going to be a good show. We might hear in a little bit after we get through some of these first opening topics. We might bring in a few people from the audience to join us tonight. This could get kind of crazy, could get kind of fun, but it is what we like to do, bringing the council together, as it were. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you guys let us know in the chat if you want to hop in with us. And as October Snowman says, why am I being camera shy? Show them pearly whites. October, get that camera on, buddy. Why don't you join it? Why don't you join us there, pal?
Exactly.
He's gonna be real quiet now. Watch.
And we also have this nice little feature, which is the voicemail questions through SpeakPipe, and the link is in the description. So please click on that, and I'll put it in the chat here in just a second. But the link is in the description of this. You can. If I can join in on my cell phone, I ain't shy. Cool. All right. Cool. All right. We'll take you up on that just a little bit, buddy. You can definitely join on your cell phone. That's not a problem.
I don't know if you use. Actually, I don't know if he uses Twitter, because we send our invites through Twitter. But if you have another way, you're gonna have to join Twitter, October. join the rest of the planet. That's my buddy. That's why I'm giving him shit, by the way. Oh, I'm allowed to do that.
You are definitely allowed to do that. As long as he's not mad at me, I don't care.
Right.
But yeah, what was I going to say? So more people are joining us, and thank you all. Welcome. If you were looking forward to Rand being on the show as we were, he unfortunately is sick tonight, and he will not be with us this evening. But he will be with us at a future date. So Rand, we hope you get to feeling better, buddy. Thank you so much for for all that you do for the community, because he's an amazing guy.
Absolutely.
So
remember, guys, on the SpeakPipe thing, I just wanted to mention that you can do that through your phone as well. Like if you're watching this, on your phone through YouTube or whatever, the link will still work there, and you can just use your cell phone to leave a message as well. You don't have to be on a PC. You don't have to have a nice mic or anything like that. Cell phone works just as good as anything else. So just wanted to let you guys know that. So
all right, I finally got the link copied, and I'm going to drop it in there. Hey, VJ, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on, VJ? RSJ, what's going on? Night Eternal, what's up, brother? Tony Grasso, what's going on? October, my buddy, how you doing? Fuck you. That's how I'm gonna say your name.
Fuck you, man. Fuck
you. My buddy with the multiple personalities, aka the IGN intern. Little did we know at the time, the intern, it wasn't his fault. I guess it was the game. So there you go. But yeah. Anyways, I guess, do you want to jump into this, Dave? We'll just start talking about
Yeah.
what we're playing, or you got something else?
Well, let me check. VJ, since you're in our chat, which we greatly appreciate, would you like me to drop the link if you're interested in joining, or if you just want to stay in the chat and listen for a little bit? You're more than welcome to that too. I won't make you do anything you don't want to do. But we're glad that you're here either way. VJ was a prominent member on Breakfast with Boom for a long time. He is a great member of the community, and we respect his opinion very highly. So like I said, VJ, if you want to jump on, just let me know, buddy, and we'll take care of that.
Absolutely. We'd
All
love
right,
to have you, VJ.
I'll send it to you. Cool.
Plus, the other thing is, too, guys, you don't have to stay here for like the hour and a half. You can literally stay for 5 minutes, talk to us about anything, and then you can jet out, if you're uncomfortable. I know, like, coming on these things, it's not the easiest thing to do, especially if you're a first timer or anything like that. But you're absolutely, this was the whole point of me and Dave starting the show. It was to get the audience directly involved. So there was always the idea of getting people from the audience actually on the show. That from the absolute very first show, we wanted to do stuff like that. So if you guys are willing to step up, like, we would love to talk to you about this, that, and the other thing, whatever, anything geek culture, TV, movies. Obviously, video games is usually the main subject because that's what I like. What's going on, Infinite? Hey, if you want to step in, brother, you're welcome to join us.
Unfortunately, Rand is under the weather tonight. Right, by a few minutes before showtime, he's like, I tried to hold off as long as I could to see if I felt better, and he didn't. So, and I totally understand that and respect that. So, he said he will be on a future date, and that's all we can ask for, man. He's amazing. Send me the link. Oh, cool. All right, we're gonna load it up now.
Yeah.
All right. Copy.
I like this.
I'm going to be doing that.
Rand got the Redfall flu. Yeah, he might have. It's going around, right?
All right, RHETRI, if you clear out the boxes and then add
let me clear
VJ, then you can get introduced to VJ yourself. And Infinite, the link is coming your way, sir.
Sorry about that. Had a cough there. Did not want to cough into the mic.
That's all right.
Umbra. Want to send Umbra one as well?
I did. Just did.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. I'll just leave that off for now, the borders, because I'm going to be playing some video stuff anyway. So
let's see here. So if it says VJ device not connected, you might have to back out and jump back in again, VJ. I'm not sure. Oh, here he is. Here he comes.
We're using StreamYards right now.
Yeah.
We may be moving on to another piece of software as well. What's up, VJ?
Hello. How are you doing?
Doing great. Good. VJ, man, so awesome to have you on, buddy. I haven't talked to you in forever.
Yeah, I took quite a long break from podcasting, to be honest with you.
Totally understand that. It can be very stressful, that's for sure. Well, we definitely, I've known you for a long time now, and I enjoy your input, your thoughts, and your perspective on the gaming community. And we've got some good topics tonight, so definitely, Umbra probably will be joining us here in a few minutes, and we'll get with some other people in the chat here in just a little bit. But RHETRI, why don't you hit VJ up with some questions there like you usually do, and let's see.
Yeah, we'll just start off with the softballs. It's just we're just wondering what everyone is playing.
Gentle.
What game?
Be gentle.
I'll be gentle, VJ.
I'm a little rusty.
Simple question: what games have you been playing? And if not games, any new TV shows or movies or anything in pulp culture that just in general that is interesting you lately? We'll start off with games, I guess. Go for it, VJ.
I actually don't watch much television, but I do enjoy watching. Is it The Mandalorian? Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I finished off Persona 5 Royale, and I thoroughly enjoyed that game. And then in lieu of what is it, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, someone suggested to me, why don't you try MechWarrior 5? And
really,
I've been playing it for 2 weeks solid now, and so it's a phenomenal game in Game Pass, and very underrated game, I'd say. So they're my go-to at the moment in anticipation for Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay,
Nice.
that's a weird recommendation from like, you know what you should play. If I wouldn't expect someone to call out a mech game, but I mean, I guess.
No, if that's what you enjoy playing, man, that's what you enjoy playing.
Yeah,
It's,
I've never played that one before, so I might have to check it out.
You know, RHETRI, I had the same reaction. I thought, mechs. You know, the last time I saw mechs and I wasn't that interested was when I saw Virtua On in the arcades from Sega. And I said that didn't really. And the other time I controlled a mech, I think it might have been in Metal Gear Solid 3 or 4. I can't remember which one it was now. And so, and they always feel as if, you know, they might be a little cumbersome to control. But there's so much depth to Mech Warrior 5. I won't go into it now, but I'll see if I can find a decent video that actually explains the whole setup of Piranha's games. I think it's Piranha Games in Canada that make it. And, I'm absolutely stunned after playing it. And this is from somebody that sees the thumbnail in Game Pass, but just skims over it. You know?
Keeps moving, right? Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of that in Game Pass too, right? There's just so many titles there that I think a lot probably just get looked over. You just, you know, like you said, you skim right by. Because Mech Warrior 5, which is weird because actually I'm a big fan of Mech Assault, so I guess I just never thought to give Mech Warrior 5 a chance. And honestly, I kind of forgot it was in Game Pass, so I might have to give it a try because Armored Core 6 from Software is definitely on my radar, and I'm looking forward to playing that one. So, October, you can come in, brother. Don't worry about it. You want to come in, you can come in as long as we can send you the invite. Let us know how we need to send you the invite first, and then we'll get you in here.
You can message me right now on Twitter. That my link is in the description. So go to Twitter and send me a message right now, and or you can. I'm on Twitter. Cool. All right. Yeah. Just my link is in the description for the WebDave. At WebDave is my handle, and then I will. I'll drop you the link. We'll add you in. I promise.
Yep.
Even if it's just for a short little visit, just see how things go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh goodness. And also there's a couple other people now asking, post up, welcome, glad to see you. Lord Master Jasper, great to see you as well too. Ren unfortunately got sick tonight, so Ren is not going to be on the show tonight. I was about 15 minutes before the show was to start, and he messaged me and said that I waited as long as I could, and unfortunately I'm not feeling well, so I'm going to have to skip out tonight because and Ren, you know, Ren misses his own show if he's sick, so it's totally understandable.
Yeah, I didn't mean to laugh. I'm just seeing Lord Master Jasper's thing right now where he said Ran looks different.
And Umbra, if you want to talk, your mic is muted, just so you know. But welcome, sir.
Welcome, Umbra. What's up, brother?
What's good, fellas? How are you all?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Yeah, man.
Coming in.
Oh, no doubt. You know, I saw this. I tuned in. I'm like, oh, let me watch my fellas. Don't they have Rand on tonight? And I see you two. I'm like, he canceled. And I'm like, that's all good. You know, and then you said, hey, anybody want to step in? I'm like, man, let's talk these current events. Let's get into this. I'm down for this. Absolutely. If you all will have me, of course.
Of course. And Umbra, have you I don't know if you've ever met VJ, Umbra VJ.
Hey,
VJ was on Breakfast with Boom for a long time. Oh, there you go.
I watched him a few times on there.
See, VJ, we know who you are.
I always see him still linked into that chat, but I've never seen him respond in that chat. So I knew he was there.
As soon as I heard VJ, I recognized his voice instantly. I was like, I don't know if I remember him from the show. And then he started talking. I was like, yep, now I do.
Brought a bit of civility to the show. Like sounded like
right. All proper. Yeah.
VJ's probably turning red, aren't you?
You're right. VJ, you're about to go slumming it. Sorry, brother.
No worries. I'll do my best to slum it.
You're gonna have to bring yourself down to our level.
Goodness. But yeah, anyway, thanks for everybody for being here in the chat. Again, apologies that Rand's not here tonight, but that's okay. He will be on another day. And like I said, the man is sick, so got to take care of your health first. That is most important. And but we do have some wonderful guests that have joined us today. So let's let's get into the first big topic, and let's see what VJ has to say, and then we'll Well, actually, we'll go with Infinite first because VJ said he's a little rusty, and then we'll go to
Sure.
VJ that way. That way, give VJ a chance to collect his thoughts. How's that, VJ?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You dump on him first. He'd be like, "No, I gotta go."
Actually,
All
I should be saying I should be thanking Infinite Umbra really.
Right? Yeah, taking the pressure off. I think we're gonna start. I'm gonna start off. We're gonna talk about Hellblade possibly coming this year, but I want to talk about the Phil interview. We obviously all watched 40 minutes of what surprised me, to be honest with you. Like, I was 2 seconds away. Like, me and Infinite Umbra and a bunch of other guys were obviously we're on a chat together because we're on a podcast together. And when we were talking about the Phil interview before it happened, I was about 2 seconds away from saying, this is going to be the most boring thing ever. There's no way he's going to say anything negative about Redfall, because I come from 18 years of television and every bone in my body told me it's not good PR to do that, right? And I'm glad I didn't type that, because boy, oh boy, was I wrong. I did not expect to have the XCast ask what they asked and for Phil to say what he said. So let's get into that. Guys, I'm going to kind of go down the line on what he said. I'm going to get your reactions to each one of those things. They start off right away talking about Redfall, and Phil took it on the chin and basically blamed himself for the lackluster reception to Redfall. I just got to ask you guys, how did you feel about him doing that? I'll go to you, Umbra. What did you think about him taking it on the chin like that? And then you can answer that as well, VJ.
I thought it was what the leader was supposed to do, and I think it made Phil, to me, it doesn't improve the situation of the game, right? The release is what it is. But that is what you want a leader to do. You want the leader to step up and say, hey, I got to take this on the chin. And it's the same situation, RHETRI and Dave, like with 343. The thing we talked about the most was that is management. When we saw these issues happening, no matter which way you go with it, it has to go to the head. If you keep allowing these things to happen that are detracting from the game being the best it could be, at the end of the day, you have to go to the head. Somebody has to answer for the state of this game. And the same situation applies here for Phil here. And we know, like we all know, it's not really Phil's fault.
Yeah, 100%.
Because this is more of a situation of a Pete Hines / Matt Booty situation. But I know they're not fully integrated into Microsoft that way. They have their own kind of anonymity, how they handle what they handle. So I won't even put it fully on Matt Booty. The thing, though, that bothers me, and I'm sure we're going to get into more later, but I want to go too far.
No, go for it. No, go ahead.
It's just like, where's the oversight, right? Where is that? Where's the people that are supposed to watch this quality control? That's the problem I have so much with
I do
this.
too.
I'm not, exactly. And I'm sure you all feel the same. It's just like, how does this happen? Like, once the Halo situation happened, I go back to this and I said it on.
It's like it's kind of like, is a lesson learned, right, Umbra? Like, did you learn your lesson?
You would think so. Yeah, right. That's the thing. I thought, like, okay, maybe they'll learn from this. They won't do it again. They'll make sure to be on top of these things where they won't release a game, or at least show us a game that looked like this before it was ready. They went a step further, actually, this time, because they showed us Halo that looked unfinished, and then we complained, and they got their stuff together, and and in the Halo release at 87, and I think it deserved that at launch, right?
I do too.
I think that's fair. It's the things after the fact that hurt Halo Infinite.
Yeah, the whole games as a service really hurt them.
Absolutely. But actually, they regressed. If we're being fair, because and again, I don't put this on Phil and team fully. I only put it on them so much as to say, how did you all, as far as quality control, not look into this, that the game that you all are publishing and paying for, marketing wise, and allowed it to come out in the state it did? If I had seen that game, and I'm Matt Booty or I'm Phil Spencer, and I had looked into that game, I don't care what the in-house testers we had that said it was double digits higher than the meta that we actually did get. I'm going to look and see what that is. And I know that people might say that's an impossible task. You got so many games. Not really. Not really as far as first party, they don't. So first party, this is the first AAA. And I've said this before too. It is a AA masquerading as a AAA. That's what Redfall is. And excuse the noise because it's nice outside.
No, it's all good.
We can barely hear it. It's
okay.
I can barely hear it, so you're good.
It's all good. Don't worry.
Perfect. So the unfortunate part is you have it's a AA game masquerading as a AAA game, and you have the budget of it behind it. Fully is not going into the game as we can see, but the budget is also in marketing. And we had Deli, a developer who used to work with Microsoft and Ubisoft, on my the Fix show, and he spoke on it saying that adds to the budget, which obviously would make it a AAA game. So the budget, the game is really a AA game, and I think that's part of the issue is in how they presented it. I've heard people float around the idea that it could have been an early release access game. At early access, that would have made more sense, right?
Yeah, 100%. I back that. Yeah, I've been on several podcasts, and every time someone said that, I was like, yes.
Yeah, and it makes so much more sense when you hear it.
It does make a lot of sense.
You're like, why didn't they do that?
Well,
it's scary. Yeah, go ahead.
The reason I think they didn't do it was because it actually had pre-sales as a $70 game, and it would have been awkward to been like, hey, $70 for this.
Yeah, you're right.
Because like the other game, like Grounded, when it came out, it wasn't, it finally made its quote unquote release when it was actually what they considered finished. So
over a year later.
Right. But that was the whole plan. That's the way they sold it.
Right.
Though, see, the other one wasn't sold that way. That's why they probably couldn't have just done it. It would have been a great idea. I agree with you. I think it would have been great. Maybe they could have, but that's probably why they didn't do it. Just a guess.
I agree with you, but that goes back to the internal testing that should have said, this is so bad, we need to send it out to preview and not full scale. So this should have happened not 4 months ago, a year ago, right? This got delayed, and it sounds like Coalition and Rare decided to help them at the 11th hour just to get to the 60 frame thing, because it sounds to me like they were having a lot more issues before we even got the frames.
I agree.
So I'm a little worried. The biggest thing that worries me isn't even the outcome of the game. The biggest thing that worries me is the internal test team that thought this was okay. That's a huge red flag to me. Huge red flag. I think if any heads need to roll, it ain't Phil. Maybe we need more Matt Booties. But what the hell was the internal testing team saying that this was going to score more than double digits higher than it did? What were you guys playing?
I'll go further.
You know what I mean?
I'll go further. Where is Harvey Smith is the director over it? How did he see this and off past games they've made and say, yeah, this is it? How?
Yeah, I don't know.
I refuse to believe any developer who has made what they've made from Prey to Dishonored saw this and was like, yeah, this is in that same class of those games. I refuse to believe it. And I guess the point again is that it's more of a AA game. So maybe it's a problem is that we were sold marketing wise on the idea that it was AAA when it really wasn't. Maybe that's part of the issue.
Yeah, but I think they think it was a AAA game now.
They definitely
like they're
think
selling. You know what I'm saying? They were marketing it as for AAA. They sold at the price point of AAA.
They did.
Their internal team had it much higher. Everything I think from the Xbox side internally said this is AAA experience.
Everything.
And nobody, even someone like myself who streamed it last night, who's actually having a lot of fun playing with other people, and I'm over 20 hours into this game.
Yeah.
Am I enjoying myself? Yes. Should this have seen the light of day? No. The answer is no.
I agree.
I'm sorry.
And I agree. And there is fun to be had in here, genuinely. I've told people this, and I know it's been a lot of controversy online because a lot of Xbox guys had turned against each other, and now I'm liking you guys, and you like this game? How dare you like this? So it's been a lot of that. I'm never going to sit here and be like, you're stupid if you like this or whatever. Play what you want to. I play some of the dumbest games in the world. People be like, why are you playing this? And so, maybe for achievement's sake, I might have done that, because I talk with Rand, speaking of which, going back to the man with the million, and he was like, hey, you got to play everything, Barbie, everything, if you want to get to where I'm at. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be shameless and start playing Barbie and Pony, My Little Pony games to get my score up.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that to say,
yeah, exactly.
I say that to say, hey, play and love what you love. If you like this game, if you are enjoying it, people in the audience and in our family, do what you have to do. But I would say, and you can have fun, multiplayer specifically. If you co-op, rather, if you play with your friends, I've experienced a lot of joy doing it because you're with your friends, you're the buddies, right? I don't know if that's really a symptom of the game or more of you playing with your friends. But I would say don't mistake enjoyment for that with the game being good.
There's all right, confession time. I did stream it, so like you could go find out there is some of that. It's kind of there was a little bit of like Bugthesda laughs going on while we were playing. We were laughing our ass off at some of the bad bugs that were happening in Redfall. And it kind of became part of the fun. I'm still having fun playing the actual game itself, though. I don't want anyone to think it's weird because usually I agree with the masses. Usually I'm on their side. Usually anything that's under a 7, I'm usually not having a good time with it. This is the exception to the rule for me. I'm having a good time with this game. And I don't blame anyone for kind of giving this like a 6 or
I'll be honest,
6 to a 7 score.
At first I was at a 6.5. The more I played it, the more I saw issues, the more I lowered it down now to a 5. I'm at a 5.
Oof.
And
wow,
and look, again, I say that to say I still can play it and have enjoyment. I'm just saying I don't want to confuse this game with an actual good game. I don't think this is a good game. And I'm not trying to be hard on it. I just don't think it is. And there's so many other issues we can go into to point out why I'm saying what I'm saying. But taking it back, part of the issue too, like WebDave said, I see why he said they didn't put it into that. Yeah. But if you announce this and put it in as your first $70 game, it's like you said, RHETRI, they should have gone back to the drawing table after they saw how it was looking and said, you know what, let's lower that to 40. Or let's put this into early access. That's what it should have been, some internal dialogue that changed. And I think that's part of the issue. The greater issue behind the scenes with Microsoft is that they will see these things and will still say, all right, let's put it out there. And I don't know if that was the case here where they were just like, we got to get this game out, so let's just release it. I don't know if that was part of the issue or what. So that's where I come back to full circle to Phil and team. And that's why I say, yes, I get why he took it on the chin. And I'm sorry for dragging on so long, guys.
No, you're good.
But that's where I go. That's where I go back to him, where I say I get why he took it on the chin. He did exactly what a good leader is supposed to do. I've still got nothing but confidence and love for Phil. My confidence in him has not wavered one bit. And I've seen people, and he even commented on it all, the whole fire field thing. You know, he made light of it. No, man, Phil needs to stay where he is. And I think most of us agree that without him, Xbox would not still be here. So it's just a fact. It's not even
debatable. That's a fact.
Exactly. It's just a fact. So I'm never going to be like, yeah, get rid of this guy who saved the whole platform. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I like his vision. I like where they're going. I just want them to be more on it. And we've spoken. I think many of us have actually said we want them to be less of this entire give you complete freedom thing and actually watch and see what's going on. Be more, on these developers and say, hey, let me check in with you and see how things are going. That should be more of the situation. It should not be so hands off. I think that's part of the issue. I appreciate that from them. And it's a definite change, I suppose, from old Microsoft, but results are results. And we've seen now, when you let your flagship go like that, for me, you're going to have to change some things and be on your people and watch what's going on. And I'm not saying be draconian. I'm just saying, hey, let me check in on you. How's things looking up? That doesn't look good.
Right.
It's got to be some real stuff. It's got to, because I don't know if you all had watched it, but what's his name? David Jaffe. David Jaffe, rather. He was talking on it, and he was speaking on how higher ups would come in there, and he would feel like a sense of dread with them coming in to come and check and see what was going on.
Yeah.
That should be, I don't want them to feel dread necessarily, but
Right.
they should know, okay, hey, we got to have our ducks in a row. We got to have this right. We're coming to see what's going on. You know, it should not ever be a case of, we'll just give you anything and you'll like it. No. And again, I go back to the lead over it. I don't know how you could have seen this and were like, yeah, you guys this is solid. And I'm not trying to trash the devs. The devs are doing what they do. The problem is, it's a lot of problems. That's the bigger thing, because it's so many different issues with it.
It's death by 1,000 cuts. This game.
Is.
This is a perfect example of just a million little things. Because if you played enough of this, you're gonna see those million little things. They're there.
You are.
You know what I mean?
I don't
and
like
that's
get
kind
how
of
they allow that. That's the only thing I have. The issue is I don't know how you.
There's no way they didn't. There's no way they didn't know about a lot of these issues. There's 0% chance, guys. 0.
Agreed.
So make no mistake. Make no mistake. They sent this out knowing the state of this thing. Either that or the internal testing team needs to go.
Yeah.
Like it's there's that many freaking bugs.
Yeah.
It's worse than any Bethesda game I've ever seen. Period.
For me, I agree. And I'm just talking about like even if you just
bug wise.
The load ins and the bugs, it's just like, come on, man. And I wanted to like the game so much. I really did.
Me too.
I was like, come on. And I'm playing, I'm like, oh no. The more I saw, I was like, come on, y'all. Like, come on. You can't allow. I'm sorry to say it like this. And this is gonna be the last thing I say for a second until you move to the next topic, because I've said way too much. But how I look at this, and I know people are not gonna like to hear this, but I look at Sony's first party release and how they do what they do. And I know people are going to say, what up, Big Man Mo? He knows me too well.
Yeah.
Don't put this on Unreal Engine. Don't you dare.
I was actually going to say something that should have been upgraded because it's 4.26. It should have been 5. It should have been UE5.
And and people wonder, are they used to working with Unreal? They actually are. This is the second game. This is the second game they've worked with Unreal. The first being the DLC for Prey. It went from the CryEngine into the Unreal Engine 4. So this is the second game they've used it. So they have some experience already. So I can't even fault the engine. You see what I mean, Big Man?
Right.
Yeah. But what's up, everybody? Hey, Nikita. So my thing is, I look at the comparison, and I'm not saying this to down Xbox. I'm just saying you look at the first party releases of PlayStation, and those games are fairly grand typically, right? You look at The Last of Us, you look at a Ghost of Tsushima, brand new IP with right there, by the way. The quality control on there is there. You can see that they watched to see what they created rather. And it didn't release in a state that was so horrendous where it's like, nah, this is not good for this asking price. Now, that's not to say they didn't have issues, particularly Last of Us. They did have glitches and such, right? And bugs. They did patch those. And of course, on a PC, we already know how horrendous The Last of Us came out. But that's a port. I'm not even going to focus on it. I'm just talking about as a console release. Typically, Sony is on it when it comes to the quality of standards of how their games releases. That's what I need Microsoft to do and emulate. Do not allow the competition to release their games better than you. I want if the internal testers are saying it's double digits higher, I need to know exactly how much double digits you mean. 10 points?
He said 11? If I'm not mistaken, he said more than 10 points. So we're talking it's at least probably mid 70s that they scored it at.
That's what I'm thinking.
Internally, which would be my guess. Because Jesus, if you were in the 80s, then I don't know what crack you're smoking.
They got this in the 80s. That team needs to go immediately. I can see maybe 70s, I guess. But if you went to the 80s,
man, I feel like there's a ceiling, right? Like that. Yeah. That's what's scary. I would love to know what that number was, Umbra.
I do too.
God, I love to know what that number was. We'll never know, but
the world may never know. But my thing is just to say, my thing is just to say, like, listen, because Phil made a comment on it where he pointed out, he said, during the whole thing where people took his words and changed almost the entire intent, every single word he said in this interview, which is so ridiculous. And they said, he said something along the lines of, we're going to have games that release 60, 70, or something along the lines, 70, 80, 90. And my thought process was, I don't want your thought process to be a ceiling of 70 to be acceptable. It's the minimum. The minimum to me, if I'm Phil going forward, and I think that's what he's going to do too, just seeing how upset he was to at least 80s. I want to hear 80s as the ground. I don't want to hear 70s. Hear 80s as the lowest possible area for your releases and go up from there. Yeah. That's what I want to hear. You know what I mean? And again, I know that's probably impossible, but that's what I want them to aim for. And again, just to go back and get off this, so VJ can jump in. Sorry, brother.
No, I'm listening. You've brought up a lot of good talking points, and I think hopefully, I mean, I'll do my best, but I think I might be able to fill in some gaps.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Bringing us the eloquence that we've learned from you over time.
Yeah, I'm a little rough around the edges, so sometimes I go right for the jugular. Please, VJ, go ahead.
So, look, I mean, I don't know if you guys know Back 4 Blood.
Yes.
So I really appreciate Back 4 Blood. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the co-op sort of component of it. And as soon as the new Redfall was coming, I wasn't so concerned about the studio or the fact that it was coming for Bethesda. The studio, the heritage, and everything ticked all the boxes, and so on and so forth. And it was a game that myself and a couple of others, we had earmarked about a couple of months back and saying, look, when this game comes out, there's probably a window where there's not anything that any of us will really want to play. So how about we jump onto this? So. But there's a couple of things that come. Obviously, we're talking about. So I don't know if there's anything specific you want me to touch on, but I think
any thoughts you got, go for it.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to remember all the points. My fellow companion Infinite made. So one of the things I think we need to take into consideration is the fact that in terms of scoring the game, in terms of rating it internally before it's available for public consumption, is that one of the biggest opponents to the game, or the critiquers of the game, and that oversee the development. I don't mean like on a quarterly or a half yearly basis, but on a continuous basis, is actually the marketing team and the PR team, because they have to understand the game completely inside out to be able to put PR and marketing plans together for a game, especially even a year and a half out. And they're the ones that are typically along, perhaps with the producer, perhaps with someone from the development team, to go out and show the game to the press and various other people that will combine together to bring this game to the market. So for me, the marketing team also pretty much oversees the mock reviews. So my concern isn't just, I know names like Matt Booty have been put out, but typically when something goes wrong, right, Phil would, I mean, you guys know Phil better than me, but he's the sort of guy I think would come out and say, it's a team effort. Now that things aren't sort of so rosy, it's him having to front up and take the, I don't know, to the back to the face, if you want to call it that. And, I remember a tweet he put out in defense of Cory Barlog, and when there was a delay on God of War, and Cory said, look, if you want to blame anyone, you blame me, right? And you don't come from my team or my staff, etc., etc. And I think Phil put out a tweet, something saying this is what leadership looks like. So I think he's trying to take a leaf out of Cory's book there, and because I don't think he really should have come out and said everything that he did in the way that he did. I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate that him coming out and saying, look, guys, this is exactly, how I feel, and so on and so forth. But let me put it to you this way. The game industry is really specialized, and there are very few luminaries in the gaming industry. There's many industries, are bigger and have far more experience within them. I like Phil. I think he's almost got everything right for people that are fans of Game Pass and Xbox and so on and so forth. I'm a huge fan of Game Pass. I spend a lot of time in it. But it's fortunately every time I've needed something to play, it's had something for me. And, and I'm not saying that's for everybody. It's just my own personal experience. And I said this a couple of years ago on Boom shows. I come across a lot of people in the gaming industry, and I've seen a lot of people in CEO roles, and I've seen people that should be in their roles that shouldn't be in their roles. And for me, it's still the same. Phil's greatest strength and his greatest weakness are one and the same, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, and that thing is trust. And speaking to something that Infinite Umbra said, I think that the issue that Phil has got, and I've seen this so many times, and I'm only saying this from afar because I don't know Phil. I haven't actually sat down and spoken to him, but just from my gut feeling, is the fact that regardless of the team that he's got in and around him, because that's a separate issue, is that he's got to learn to be far more creatively ruthless, and that's to do with, it's fine giving development teams freedom, right? It's fine giving them, extended periods of time as and when they need it, whether it's in the embryonic stage, whether it's putting pre-production together, whether it's full production, whether it's post-production with QA and play testing, etc., and refining the product. But especially one that is now going to be synonymous with with your first party offerings, or synonymous with your first party offerings to consumers that are paying that $15 a month. And it's not just 1 or 2 million people. What is it, like 30 million subscribers? So all eyes are always going to be on games entering Game Pass from first party. And whether you think it's Bethesda, whether you want to, they bought it, they own it, right? At the end of the day, and all the critique or all the nominations or awards that they win, it's all one and the same now. There's no hiding from there. And I think he believes blaming himself is fine, but for me, it's not going to be the answer. I mean, we can sit here and say, he should have done this, they could have done this, and why did they do that? But I think some thought needs to be given to the fact that what do they actually do going forward to address these issues? And this is why I brought up the fact that it's not just the head of development, if that is Matt Booty, right? And it's marketing as well that are just as culpable, right, in this whole situation, because because they do their own testing, right? There's a testing division within a development studio that do the testing throughout the course of development. And even when the game is coming out, there's a separate department, completely isolated, and it's not connected to anything, where it does testing for all the first party games, it does testing for second party and first party games. And they're not somebody that you can impose your will upon and say, oh, can you do me a favor, can you get this out, can you let this go? No, they are there to do technical requirements and checks and make sure that the game complies with basically a checks and balances, right, besides squashing bugs. So what I'm saying to you, that there isn't just there's a disconnect there, but regardless of the fact of what score they thought that this game should get, and when Phil said double digits, I was completely surprised by that, because really at the level that they're playing at, I can tell you that EA, Take-Two, Namco Bandai, Capcom is not just exclusive to US publishers. They pay good money, and they probably can't afford as much as Microsoft, right? In terms of budget, that they pay good money to get independent, even small publishers, right? They pay good money to get mock reviews done to give them an accurate view, so they can make really powerful decisions. And those mock reviews are normally within a few points. 10 is. I don't know why Phil said that, and because that was a massive red flag for me. And this is someone coming from publishing. Right? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that. And I've looked at, Mr. Greenberg and Mr. Booty, and I'm sure they're wonderful people, but I think that Phil needs to reflect on the whole situation, take away all his relationships with everybody, and say, look, I know I can do this. I know I can take this forward. And right now, the people that I've got, that are supposed to be delivering for me are quite frankly not achieving the task that he set out for himself and for his company and for people above him. and these people are supposed to deliver for him. And I kind of look at it in contrast with Sony. And I'm not saying Microsoft should be Sony, and I'm not saying Sony should be Nintendo, and I'm not saying Nintendo should have been Sega, because all those conversations have happened. Microsoft have to go out and do what they think they need to do in terms of making their division as profitable and as successful as possible. But at the same time, I was looking over at Sony, right? You had Shuhei Yoshida, I think the guy's name, was in charge of the studios, and then you had whoever, Jim Ryan, succeeded. But if you look at Sony, they're pretty ruthless in terms of when they see what's happening, when they think what the possibilities are in terms of that may affect their business going forward, they make changes. And not only did they make changes to who's running their first party studios in terms of, let's politely call it a sideways move for Shuhei, right? And then they put in Herman Hulst. And what did they do a couple of years after, so that Herman Hulst could get his feet under the table? They've strengthened his department with Andy Schmitz. And I just don't see Phil making those kinds of decisions and I don't know whether he's, again, is it trust? Is it loyalty? Because those things, especially in business, and especially when you're trying to deliver a vision, are the things that can bring you down. And I think that he needs, if those people are coming back to him saying, hey, look, we got this mock review incorrect for this particular game, and then I'm sure there's got to be a red flag, because I saw him on that interview, and I saw a picture of him in an interview on some website about 6 or 7 years ago, when he just started to take over the role. Correct me if I'm wrong. And my goodness, has it aged him? And and he had
it's like when you become the president, right? You start getting grades right after.
He's aged considerably, and what that tells me, and I'm only telling you this from my very narrow perspective, because obviously as a human being, right, my experience is very narrow, right? I mean, even though I've seen a lot in the gaming industry, but that should just tell you that the people that he has around him supporting him, whether it's left of him, so up, down, left, right, I won't even talk about Microsoft, the team in Microsoft Japan, but the point is that there is something fundamentally not right, and I think that he needs to change his approach, go with his gut in terms of how it got him there, versus saying, I'm here and these are the people that have brought me here, but are these people here good enough to take me forward now into the promised land? And right now, on the evidence that us consumers or us fans or wherever you want to call it, because that's all we are, right? We're critics, right? And nobody remembers critics, right? Critics are just parasites at the end of the day, right? So, and I include myself in that. But it doesn't take, I think they underestimate how smart we are, because there's so much more information available now than, say, 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago in terms of how the industry works, because we're just smarter and just more information's available, right? I mean, most things smart about most people is their phones, right? These days, right? And
we're well informed. It's a Google search away.
So I think we could talk about this all day, but I actually think that the answers is there. And I don't know if you want to move on to another topic, but I actually think that there is people already at Microsoft that we know of that could come in and change the dynamic and the fortunes long term, but in the meantime take a lot off of Phil's plate, because he should be actually thinking about how to take Xbox forward, not about fixing problems that are currently on his
100% agree.
VJ, abso-freaking-lutely. He should not be dealing with Redfall directly whatsoever. He shouldn't even be looking at it at all. And
isn't it funny that every time there's someone has to be put in the firing line, it's him? That's fine. He is the leader and so on and so forth, and I understand some of the responsibility is his, because I've told you what his biggest strength and weakness is, but I think that the answer is actually there right in front of him, and I'm happy to sort of give you an opinion on that if you want.
Go for it.
Ahead.
Absolutely.
But one of the when they opened up the Initiative Studio, they brought on a guy called Daryl Gallagher. And I was very skeptical at the time. And I read his interview at the time. It's still online. You can see it. And everything he says in that interview is counter to what the initiative stands for today. And I won't go into that right now. But what he came in as a creative director, wanted to create new IPs, new games, and new worlds, and accept all the usual blurb that we love to hear and hope for. And this is what probably Outer Worlds and Avowed, right? Two fantastic games. Probably their best studio. So when he was over at IDOS, what he was actually head of studios. So he was looking over after IO Interactive. He was overlooking Deus Ex. I forgot the studio that made that. Crystal Dynamics. especially at the time when they were really putting out some great titles for IDOS, right? And they were very, very, I don't know how commercially successful they were, but from a consumer point of view, I really enjoyed those games. So what he did then, he left, and then changes were occurring. Then he went to Activision before he went on to make the initiative. And I said to myself, this is completely the wrong move. You know what? You've got this guy who understands how to build studios, how the stakeholders need to look at the top of each studio. And what the stakeholders are executive producers / producers that are very few and far between in terms of ability, right? And what they do, they communicate to the studio in terms of what's required of them from a creative point of view and explain budgetary terminology to them and the time and etc. and what they've got to execute and make sure that the game and the vision is being produced. At the same time, what they've got a fantastic skill of doing is communicating to management, say an EA board or the Xbox board, and communicate to them and say, this is where the studio's at, this is what it needs, this is what it doesn't need, and simplifies the development language and say, look, we're on course to make this kind of product at this level, and this is the time and budget is going to, and obviously those are all moving parts, and those people are few and far between. And Daryl Gallagher, for me, he should have just replaced Matt Booty straight off the bat. The same example I gave you about Herman Hulst replacing Yoshida, and then the other person that I mentioned in terms of partnering Daryl Gallagher with alongside Daryl, just to keep a checks and balance rather than just everything pointing to Matt Booty, is to go and I don't know if these people would take the job. Maybe Daryl didn't want the job. I don't know, but I would push this agenda if I was Phil and say, right, I want to speak to Sharon Susstill, right, who was head of studio over at Santa Monica, right? She's over at Google. I don't know what she's doing.
The one that David Jaffe keeps recommending.
Yeah, and I did from the first time I met until to the time she left. I was so shocked. I didn't know who was going to take over at Santa Monica, but they seem to have been done fine, because Japanese companies and Asian companies and even European companies, more so than American, and in my experience, breed successors rather than management and CEOs and executives in America that want to retain the status quo. And this is just my experience. I mean no offense here. I do live in California, so just in case you think I'm casting aspersions from over the waters, over the pond.
We take no offense, no worries.
So
Dang Brits. In California.
Yeah, sorry. so that would be my shout. And I'll tell you another thing, my observations in terms of when Bethesda ZeniMax was acquired, right, by Microsoft, and there was a big powwow where there was like execs, like I think Matt Booty, Aaron Greenberg, there was Phil Spencer, and there was somebody else from Microsoft, and they sat down with the management team, Todd, and it was like a reveal for us, right? And the management talking about what the future was going to look like. And there was also Pete Hines was sitting there, and I was sitting with a friend, and I said to him, listen, you see these two management teams, right? I said, if you took the Xbox management team and put them in charge of Bethesda would fall apart. If you took the Bethesda management team and put it in charge of Xbox, it would flourish. And that shows you the disparity in talent and ability and quality, right, between what management teams should and do look like. Yeah, because I can tell you the ZeniMax guys were a lot harder. And this is speaking to what you gentlemen were talking about before, right, about being ruthless, being creative, and knowing exactly what's going on, and being that more ruthless, but in a creative fashion. Right. Rather than just giving freedom and budget freely. And I don't think Microsoft are doing that, because I think with Redfall,
certainly not on the budget side.
Yeah, I think Redfall. I think they missed. And this again, marketing and PR that should have their finger on the pulse about what the community is thinking, how they're feeling, what they're looking at, and what happens if we do this. I think there is a call made that this game goes out because we've got other games in the pipeline. We move this team on because if we're spending another year, I don't know what the burn rate is. I don't know how many people were working on it, but if it's 100 guys at $15,000 a month or 1.5 million, it's another $15-30 million, right? Because that game needed another year, and they're thinking, look, let's cut our cloth and let's cut our whatever you. So I forgot what the term is. Let's cut this dead now, get losses, it out, essentially, work on it, because we've got other stuff coming up in June, and it'll paper over this, right? And I think that the actual repercussions of what they've done are so magnified and so, how can I put it? Like they just didn't anticipate what the kickback would be from the community.
Yeah.
And hopefully they won't do it again. you know. So that's the
that's the positive for
is
me,
the lesson
BJ.
learned. You know,
I
what I mean,
believe it
That's
is a
the
lesson
question.
learned.
You see,
BJ, I love your points, dude. I love them.
Seeing how he reacted, I think that is the positive. I think the silver
Yep.
lining here for me is that Phil, the way he reacted and the way we saw him, we've never seen Phil like that.
Mm-mm.
And
No,
I
no.
think this resonated with him more so, obviously, even to the point that he had to be the one to go out there and take it on the chin. So I think that he saw them was like, okay, I got to get these guys behind me and under me, rather, in order, and say, hey, you all have to be on this. I should not have to be in a situation, like we said, RHETRI, where I have to come out and address this the way I am. And I'll add this wrinkle to this too. And I'm not trying to, shift blame, I suppose. Again, Harvey Smith, he's the director. I put this more on him, but it's going to come back to Xbox. But this is on him to me, and more so because this game was in development long before Xbox acquired them. So this is not something where they were just under Microsoft all this time, and it was like, oh yeah, this is great. Let's get this out there. This was in development at least 3 years before they got them. The problem is that you all saw this, or had your people look at it, and they were like, yeah, this is good to go at 70. And hey, the one more thing at the showcase, Redfall, and it was not ready for prime time. That's where the fault lies for Microsoft.
Infinite. I just want to point out a couple of things, right? Is that, do you remember when they acquired Bethesda? Ninja Theory, and they had a game called Bleeding Edge, which they just put straight into Game Pass with no fuss.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then they bought Bethesda, and they put Hi-Fi Rush just out there, out of the blue. No fuss. So tell me, who made the decision to think that this game a year ago that was paraded as a messianic first party title and paraded it as such, as a mega budget, full on game to take on all comers, right, in the Colosseum, so to speak, and that just shows you, right, that it's not just the director of this was a team effort, and there's somebody somewhere.
This is a team screw up.
Yeah, and for me, it's marketing. Right, that turned around and said, we can make this work, because marketing, and believe me, producers and marketing have a huge influence on the way things go. And for me, they, I think they made the right call with Bleeding Edge. They said, look, it's a passion project, which is put in Game Pass. They made the wrong call with Hi-Fi Rush, which I think, like Aaron Greenberg came out and said, beat all expectations. Well, where was the support for this game, right?
I think all the support was rather than word of
mouth. And why was all the attention given to Redfall when you guys have come out and said you didn't believe it in the first place? So there's a massive disconnect, a massive misunderstanding or no understanding, right? And it's not the first time. And the same people that were at the head of the management that are overseeing this are still there. And I hate to use the term, but I'm going to slum it, is that you can't polish a turd, right, at the end of the day. And there are a few turds there, let's be honest.
That's that California rubbing off on you right there.
There has to be, right?
VJ, that was a shitty thing to say.
Sorry.
No, I mean, part of me, I agree with a lot of what VJ said, and part of me has been saying, I've been saying this for years now, there's not enough Matt Booties, and I don't mean I'm a fan of Matt Booty. I don't think there's enough people, because of the number of studios that Xbox has, that are overseeing this stuff. And if they are, then VJ is right, then they need to go, because there's too many people that probably saw this that gave it the A-OK. And I'm sorry, guys, whether you like this game or not, and I'm one of them, that's a problem. That is a problem that needs to be addressed.
I just want to I saw a comment that Matt Booty is no amateur, though. He run Midway.
No, he's definitely not.
So here's my thing, right? There's a lot of people in the game, even in sports. Sports is probably, everybody reaches their pinnacle, right? The peak performance at 26, 27, 28. And the game industry is very much the same. Creators, designers, producers, people in charge of studios, management, CEOs. There's always up and coming talent that's better, that has seen what you've done, that bring on the knowledge from several other creatives, several other CEOs, several other executives, and that's why that's what it's called. It's called evolution. So, and for me, this is the difference, right? When Matt Booty was at Midway, right, he was like, dealing with customers over the Fatty Thumb, right? Which is, it's a cafe, Sid's Cafe in East London, right? So a small, sort of where a workman like, cafe, right? That's where he was working, right? And what you've done is taken him out of there and said, listen, can you come over here and run my Michelin star restaurant, please, and make sure it's a success? That's the difference.
Right. Yeah.
Right. He can't run a
Yep.
Michelin star restaurant. He may be able to run a cafe somewhere in the middle of nowhere in East London, but he can't run, one of them a $1 trillion company's game division right up in Seattle.
Right. I hear you. All right, VJ, absolutely great points. October, we're gonna bring you in, brother. I just want to get your 2 cents. October, this is my buddy Jim. About the game itself. I don't know if you've muted him or if he's muted himself.
He muted himself.
Okay.
He can. There he is. Say hello there,
Jim, you there?
I'm here.
No, you're very quiet, brother.
Oh,
Can barely hear you.
Much better.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your 2 cents? Have you played Redfall? Like, are you enjoying it? You don't have to join the masses and hate on it, or you can hate on it with everybody else.
I'm not gonna hate on it. I won't hate on the game. I played a little bit. I played up to the fire station, killed the first vampire. One of the things that caught me right off the bat, which a lot of games are doing now, is the point-and-click menu instead of a scrolling menu. And I don't know why that's such a pet peeve of mine, but I just find it really annoying. Assassin's Creed did it with the last few games.
You're kind of basically, because it's kind of like a PC menu, so it's using like a reticle for you to move everything around. I know exactly what you're talking about, and you're right. There's a trend. There's definitely a trend going on right now where they're just using the same PC type of stuff, like menu systems.
They're
cheaping out.
They want to, hit every market they can, and PC is part of that market, but it's just annoying to do it on a console. And the other thing that really caught me right away is where do I go? It's like as soon as you start the game, it's like, where am I going? All right, I see this. Okay, I have to go in this direction, but it's not really showing me anything on the screen. So I'm kind of just wandering around, and then I don't know if anybody else died in the red mist right off the bat because I didn't know that was a bad area.
Because nobody told you not to go in the red mist. No, I mean, I'm laughing at you. It's funny. Like, it seems obvious now, but I think you're absolutely right. There hasn't been a single person I played with that didn't ask me, RHETRI, my name's Ryan, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. Ryan, what am I doing? What am I supposed to do? And I'm laughing and I'm going, yeah, exactly. Because Redfall don't tell you, do they? Don't give you any direction for anything. You know how long it took me just to get out of the firehouse because I couldn't find the stupid power switch?
It took me a while to get off the ship.
Yeah. Okay, you're not the only one. There's a lot of people with that one too. I saw a lot of tweets. People were like, I can't get off the ship. I'm dying laughing. I'm like, I've been there. But yeah, the lack of direction was definitely a problem as well.
I'm also one of those gamers that, I love Dishonored. I played both Dishonored 1 and 2. I played Dishonored. I played through them both multiple times. And I was really excited about this game because, before Dishonored, I know it was Arcane, but Thief was also a very similar game to Dishonored, and I love that game too. So to be excited for a game and then just to start and be like, all right, what am I doing? Because the other thing is you're hearing voices of people talking everywhere, but you can't tell where the hell they're coming from.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to hate on the game. I'm going to keep playing. I wanted to try to get into a group to see if it was more fun. I was late with you on Friday because I
sorry about that.
But yeah, I came in. Oh, you guys are full up. All right, see ya. And play COD like I do, like a little COD whore. But yeah, I mean, I'll give the game a shot. But after the firehouse and after killing the first vampire, the thing that got me was, okay, now I have to go around and talk to all these freaking people, and then it's like a bunch of tutorials. Talk to this person, they tell you something, you have to read something. Talk to the next person, they tell you something, you have to read something. Then you have to go to the big board, the mission board, and I'm just like, I'm gonna go play the show. I think I don't know.
Yeah, I think it'll be better when you play with us, and I will be playing again probably this Friday night, guys. If anyone wants to join up with us in our Discord, someone was saying
it was rushed. I feel like it was very rushed.
Yeah, I mean, it sure feels like that. So. But I think if you give it more of a chance, I think you'll end up liking it.
I'm
I could be totally wrong, but
I'm not going to give up. I won't give up on the game at all. I mean, I like I said, I'm a Dishonored fan, and those games are awesome, and those games are so much fun. I mean, they weren't the best graphics, but I think that's what made the game its own personal, touch to it. It was more. It wasn't realistic. It was more not cartoony, but more anime-ish. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what made made it fun, and getting all the different skills. And now I'm holding out hope that it's good.
Yeah, I think just give it more time. This is a game I think a lot of time too in the beginning. I think a lot of people maybe aren't making it through like the third or fourth hour, and I think things start picking up really well for that. You get a lot more weapons, and it becomes a lot more fun when you get like sniper rifles and stuff like that. But to each their own. I don't disagree with anyone hating on it either. So I mean, which is perfectly fine.
I mean, a lot of games are like that though, with big intros and big tutorial sessions, and like the beginning of the game is like push A to run, or push X to jump, or push B to crouch.
Yeah,
it's like,
all that
all
was
these screens
missing.
popping up. Yeah, and it's like, just tell me where the hell I'm going. It's like, get off the ship. That's like the extent of their tutorial. It's like, get off the ship, figure it out.
Yeah, it's extremely vague. I mean, Lore Master Jasper brought up a point, and this is something Lore Master Jasper, he says on the compass it tells you if the objective is above or below you and how far you are away from it. You are right. There's some pinging issues. There's some reticle issues though on the map itself where mine literally disappear. But it took me a long time, Lore Master Jasper, because they didn't tell me that to figure that out. I'm talking hours, and it might be because I'm an idiot, but there's a theme going on with every single person I've played with has said that. So we're all dumb.
Well, I wanted to have fun with the game. I didn't want to feel old,
which could, there's the thing. We are getting older, and I think maybe we're missing some things. Like we don't see it as quick as the young guys do. It's definitely a factor.
Grandpa, go take a nap.
Go ahead and feed him
exactly.
Oh Jesus! Hey, October Snowman, thank you so much for
appreciate
jumping
it,
on.
Jim. Thank you for coming in, bro.
For a few minutes, if you want to stick around for a minute, we'll keep you around for a few minutes. But I wanted to say to the chat, because somebody else asked about it. Thank everybody for being here. We really appreciate it. Randall Thor 19 was supposed to be our guest tonight, and unfortunately, about 30 minutes or so before the show started, he messaged me and said, I held out as long as I could. I was hoping I'd get to feeling better, but he did not. And he unfortunately is under the weather and not feeling well. And we all our hopes and prayers go with Randy. He gets to feeling better. He's had a rough couple of weeks, that's for sure. But we respect him and love him as part of the community. And he said he will be back on in a future show. So we'll look forward to that. But we do also want to thank Infinite Umbra and VJ for jumping on with us.
Absolutely. Anytime.
He dropped off, didn't he? Let me get rid of those.
Yeah, I think he just dropped out.
That's all right. We'll get rid of that. Oh, he's back. That happens. There we go. I think he's on his phone, so that can happen too. But anyway, VJ, thank you so much for being here today, as well as Infinite Number. We're not done yet. We're getting ready to go to another topic. If you guys can stick around, we appreciate it. But anytime you do need to bail, since you guys were doing us a huge favor by jumping on, we do understand. But if you got a little more time, we got some more questions.
I got the entire show if you need me to stay here.
Ooh,
appreciate it. I like P3 Chan said, "Shut up, Ryan. We eat millennials for breakfast." That's right, P3. Yes, we do. Thank you. You make me feel better about my age.
and Retri, I've already put the card up because this was on a title card. And we've had people asking about it. And,
is Hellblade 2 releasing this year? I don't know, Phil. Why don't you tell me, sir?
And everybody can already stop. I don't want to hear what Phil has to say about the future, and I kind of fully respect that point of view. That we've got Starfield coming, we've got Forza coming, we've got Hellblade coming. Like, we've got collections of games. I'm seeing very good builds of Avowed and stuff. Like, we're in, like, I can see it. But until you have a controller in your hand and you're smiling from playing our games, none of my words should matter.
There you go. So that's conspiracy theory. Get your hats on. This topic has just made my mind split into guys. I'll let anyone who wants to speak in. This will be like a roundtable discussion.
I'll make it quick on my part. I'll jump in.
Go for it.
Because we've had like Jez Gordon and a few others that have said that they have heard rumors, and they wouldn't confirm anything, but they've heard rumors that it could possibly be getting near the finish line to where it could possibly be a release this year. They wouldn't deny it's possible, but they wouldn't all nobody would commit to yes.
No, nobody wants to commit.
Nobody wants to commit to it. And I get
put
that.
a ring on it, Jez.
Exactly. But you know what? I think in like 35 days when we have that when we have the showcase, we're going to get some more answers, and maybe that's one of the keys, or maybe the star besides Starfield that'll be appearing on that show. That's all I have to say. So whoever wants to jump in next.
Yeah, anyone who wants to speak, go for it.
I would say, like for development teams, I think for someone like Ninja Theory specifically, I think for them, it's not necessarily budget, and it's not even in terms of resource, in terms of personnel. I think for studios like that, I think the most valuable component for them is time. And I think that given what's happened with Redfall, personally, I think the issues surrounding Redfall are surmountable, right? But unfortunately, for a lot of gamers out there that are impatient, what we've come to appreciate in many games, the game tries very hard to depreciate those values. So, but they need to turn if they can turn those things around, I'm sure at some point in time it may actually have a cult following. But anyway, that's by the by. So, in terms of these other games that Phil's touched upon, I think he's saying, look, I'm not going to give you a definitive date. We're going to show you what we've got. And he's pinning his hopes on there. But I think pinning his hopes is probably a bit too far. I'm not really concerned when it comes out. But I think the most important thing for Phil is to say, look, when these 3 specific games that he's called upon in this interview, I think they need to touch, connect, and unite not just the whole of Xbox and all of its studios in terms of what they actually believe that they can achieve, because aspiring for something is very different from experiencing, the pinnacle, right, or of what your profession has to offer, right, in terms of achievement, right, in terms of the top achievement, top prizes. So I think that what he needs to do is say, look, we can't rush these games, and which I know is a little cliche, but to ensure that the 3 most important things that it connects, unites, and touches all fans of these games. I'm not necessarily concerned about whether they're just out on console, because obviously they're going to be on PC, or if they'll come out on PlayStation in the future, whatever. I just think that he has to focus on just making sure that whatever information is put on his desk, because he can play a game and think it's really great, right? But at the end of the day, it's got to appeal to the masses, right? Not just one individual. So I think that he just has to get his team and his management team and everybody else in and around the infrastructure around Xbox, as well as the studio, everybody on board, that they agree, that they share all the information, and they make sure that they put the best foot forward, right? In terms of, and is the showcase in June? Because I guess that will answer a lot of questions, and I'm really looking forward to it. And obviously, I'll be personally looking forward to Silksong coming to Game Pass.
There you go.
Anyway. Yeah, so that's my take on it. I don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on anybody, and I think Phil's doing a good job there in terms of saying, look, well, what I've seen is so far is promising, but until you get a controller in your hand and you're all smiling, that's when our job is done.
Exactly. Very true. Very true. Very, very good points. And VJ, thank you so much for your insight. I love it. I'm ecstatic that you're here. I'm just telling you that right now. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
You can tell me to shut up. I don't take offense.
I know that, but I won't, because I like hearing you talk, and what you have to say is important. And we appreciate you being here and sharing that with us. So
anytime. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Love it. I love it. Okay, so Infinite, what you got to say about this, sir?
With Hellblade 2, I actually, on several podcasts, I had speculated that I would think it would actually release later this year. So this actually keeps falling back into place for me. The more I see of things, the more I keep thinking, maybe I was right. I think the bigger thing, though, is it depends on the other releases. What's up, Asante? I think it falls on the other releases, right? So if we have a situation where Forza doesn't release this year, I believe we'll have a situation where Hellblade 2 will. We don't know quite what's happening with Forza Motorsport, and they might need more time to cook. And so that could fall into 2024. We have Starfield in the second half. We have a bunch of other third-party games that we know of in the second half. Typically, it's November or October or November rather for Forza. So if that lands, I would say in October, it's a possibility that Hellblade 2 could land in December. Or again, it could just be early next year. One of the two. I'll take either one. If they need more time for it, I'm always going to be on the side of that. But I think from just the marketing that we saw in the Game Pass ad to see Hellblade in it, to Phil mentioning this the way he did, I don't think I'm not saying that he slipped up, but when you have those thoughts in your mind of something that is coming soon, you kind of talk on it without really thinking on it. You know what I mean?
Right. It could have been a Freudian. Maybe not a Freudian slip, but it's just it's in his head all the time. He knows what's supposed to come next, and that's why I do think personally. I mean, we know Starfield September. I think Forza is a lock on November. Personally, that's an opinion. And I kind of think that it's next year for Hellblade, and I think it's February. And I. Even though the Game Pass ad kind of came out and showed it, and it just sounds like to me like Phil's just going, Starfield definitely, and then Forza, which means Starfield's next, and then Forza, and then Hellblade. I think and then Avowed. I think that's exactly the order of the big AAAs that we're getting. I think that's exactly the order they're coming in, and I don't think.
I'm just kidding.
Yep. Well, I'm all over the place. So if you asked me this 6 months ago, I was November for Hellblade. I had said that multiple times, and I changed my mind. Just based off of this year's cadence, on a year of cadence that's never ever been seen by Xbox ever. Where you have 8 first-party titles coming out in the same year. It's never happened, by the way. Because people are also forgetting about Age, which I think Age 4 is I think it's dropping this year, and I think they're going to be talking about it on June 11th, and I think that gives a little more breathing room for Hellblade, because if you look at it, and I don't know, maybe this depends, like as a gamer, if these games didn't hit for you, then you're like, shut the hell up, I want Hellblade this year. But if you're looking at it, from afar, that's 8 first-party games that are dropping this year. Yes, 2 of them are Age of Empires, but still, I think that's pretty dang good. And what happened with Redfall, I would think they would want to be as careful as they possibly can, and maybe they just need that extra little polish. But this is coming from nowhere. I don't have any inside information whatsoever.
I would say that the telling thing is that these 3 games are in his sphere of consciousness, shall we say, right?
Yes.
So they're definitely on the table, they're on the agenda, and I think that he'll have his teams focusing on there. But when does Starfield come out? Is that in September?
September. Yeah, September.
So, and to tell you this, it took me 2 months to finish Elden Ring, right? So
me too.
Right here. At least 3 months. So anytime after that would be fine for me. For them to release their successive games. So that's just from a personal, selfish point of view.
Exactly.
I like Lord. Sorry, I just want to say this real quick from Lord Master Jasper. That's a really good point. H4 is going to be in October on the anniversary date. There you go. That's a great.
I knew it was another. I knew there was another release I wasn't thinking of. But I'll add this too, just to say, if those games all released this year, I think that'll help wash a lot of the negativity of Redfall out of the mouths.
I agree.
If we land all those, and imagine if the ABK deal would have been situated and we'd actually have gotten Diablo 4 into Game Pass.
That would have been it.
Would have been a hell of a year.
Game over.
But
BJ, what was your question,
we'll have a
BJ?
good year, though.
I was just the last person to kindly put a message in the chat said Age 4. Is that I'm not really sure what game
Age of Empires 4.
Age of Empires. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. No worries. No, I apologize. Sorry.
No. It's okay. Because they just released Age 2, the remake, and then made it controller. I guess not controller. They made it console compatible. And that dropped, and that was really nice. And then the other 4, which has all the new bells and whistles. We're really looking forward to that one. I think that'll be great too. But no, abbreviations and stuff, man. I get you. There's times people are like, What are they talking about? So it's easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's because that's a good problem, right? There's so many games. Sorry, were you just doing the Phil thing?
No, it wasn't me.
Oh, I thought I heard something. Oh, Jim, were you just talking? If you're talking, Jim, you got to turn yourself up because I can still barely hear him. I don't know if you guys are hearing him.
Yeah, I don't do the abbreviations either.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
But Age 4, I don't know if anyone played Age 2, but Age 4 is so good. It's so good. I'm hoping that a lot of people who've never played those types of games are gonna get into it.
That would
when
be
it,
me.
when it hits console.
That would be me after Mech
That's
Horror.
Exactly. That's what they need. They need to get I never touched an Age game till 4, and I played it on PC, and I don't do mouse and keyboard, and it was just so much fun. I tried to learn mouse and keyboard, and it's the only game I've played on mouse and keyboard. I'm terrible at mouse and keyboard. But
October Snowman,
game.
what are your thoughts on the topic of is Hellblade 2 releasing this year? What do you think? Maybe?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if it's going to release this year or next year. I'm so nervous with big games coming out now, just because there's been so many, letdowns as far as Halo Infinite, Redfall, and I'm not going to say Redfall was a letdown. Halo Infinite was decent, but it could have been better. I just don't want it to be rushed. I don't want it to be out just so they have something to put out and look good in the papers. That aged me a little bit. I should have said look good on the internet.
I wasn't going to say anything, but you said it for me. And the newspapers, those doesn't exist anymore.
Back page of the newspaper, Yeah. But no, I just don't want it to be rushed. I want it to be, we need a good solid game. We need something that, it doesn't matter what games come out, somebody's always going to find something to complain about.
Yeah.
But we just need a solid game to come out. That's it.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I think a lot of people would agree with that too. A lot of us have said over and over again, go ahead, delay it. Right? Because you only get that first impression once. And a lot of people have said, I didn't even want, even Game Pass members, I didn't even want to try Redfall because the reviews were so bad. And that speaks volumes. Yeah.
I was one of those people that said that. I kept
you weren't the only one that said that to me too. I was like, man, really, guys?
Ready to go.
I have no issues with Redfall, and I hope they're given the opportunity to set the record straight with that game. And but again, for me, and I'm sorry to sort of go on about this, but I think the October Snowman, from what he's saying, what's put in my mind is that fact that he doesn't want to see Xbox put games out that puts them in the crosshairs, so to speak, of critics, because that it's damaging the brand, right, and the confidence, and amongst supporters, let alone tens of millions of other gamers out there that at some point, whether it's to do with money is tight, etc., that want to either access Game Pass via PC or lo and behold, want to pick up and purchase a Series X. So, even during the last generation, Xbox still managed to sell 50 or 60 million Xbox Ones, right? Even in its, even in its poorest generation. So there's still a lot of people out there that, I don't know what the install base of the Series X is at the moment, but there's a lot of people out there that enjoy the content that is under the umbrella of Microsoft, which is Xbox and thus the studios. So, and I think Infinite Umbra made a point as well in terms of the games that they've got coming out longer term, not just the 2 or 3 that Phil mentioned, but the plethora of games that they've got coming out. So just don't set yourselves up, don't put yourselves in the crosshairs, and get people. You're a first party studio because you're teaming up with the Xbox management, so you're under an umbrella whereby quality is paramount, and budget is secondary, right? You're not a third-party publisher that's got to get games out on time and on budget necessarily, right? Because there's so many other connotations to what you're trying to achieve, right? And a lot of your income's coming in from third-party software sales, and that's a lot of that's a place where Sony is generating so much revenue. So I think with October Snowman is that if you're going to put games out from first party, set the standard, and that's paramount.
Yeah,
it's so good to get that from you. You're so charismatic. It's so nice to hear.
Very true. Very true. So
Yeah.
Retro, you thought I played this, didn't you?
This is about delivering
Yeah,
great
I thought I had
exclusive
heard
games
it.
for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists.
So apparently October Snowman can do a good
Impression.
Phil imitation.
I'm just hearing things. Maybe
It does sound pretty good, though. I know
We
it's your
hear
natural
you.
speaking voice.
we hear
It's
you.
Infinite
Do you
Umber's supposed to be
though?
singing for us, but you know he ain't singing. He owes us a song later. You know that, right?
What
Oh,
you
man.
won't do for love. All right.
There you go. There you
That
go.
was quite beautiful, actually.
Oh,
He's
thanks.
a really good singer, man. He really is.
Yeah. So outside of this, though, what
Mhm.
else did you all take from the interview? Because there's a good amount there. You know, there's a mountain full, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is plenty to talk about on that. One of the things I liked, I really like this about Phil is allowing Arcane to take chances and their studios to do things that are outside of their wheelhouse. I saw some sentiments of people saying like they should have stayed with the game that was more like Dishonored and more like Prey, and I fully disagree with that. I know what can happen is what happened with Redfall. They're taking a chance. They're doing a very different type of game for themselves, but I want them to take chances because a lot of the complaints when it comes to PlayStation, it's too samey, you know, your first person, you know, dad game, all that jazz. And like I've said on another podcast, you do not get Hi-Fi Rush if Phil decides to do the status quo. What you get is Evil Within 3. Hi-Fi Rush doesn't exist. So to me, it's extremely important for Phil and company to let the studios do the weird, like go out of your sandbox and do things that you normally would never do. And that's one thing that I, you know, to kind of flip this around and make it a little more positive. That's something that I got out of the interview that I really enjoyed, and I completely agreed with Phil on.
I was
I
going to say,
agree.
Go for it.
I agree with what you're saying. What I would suggest is that there is an issue there with the green light process. And as I was talking at the beginning, the top of the show, when I was talking about Phil and talking about luminaries within the industry, is that you can have the greatest idea in the world, right? I mean, I'm sure some of us wake up one morning and thinking, hey, this is a fantastic idea for a game, but we don't follow through with it, right? Either because of resource, because of what about these aspects of the game? So, and sometimes we just put them by the wayside. So there's got to be some creative ruthlessness, right, from the people that say creatively ruthless doesn't just mean, oh, you know, we're going to cut this game, we're going to make this game. No, I agree with you, all about having great ideas but there's also in the green light process where you can actually test out your ideas, right? They've got it's not as if they haven't made games before, and I know that I need to be corrected here, but does anybody know that the Dishonored games, they were made in France, right? I'm assuming that this game was made in America by their support studio. Is that correct?
I can't remember which team did what.
This is Austin who made this one.
Yeah, this was Austin. I don't know.
Is this their first game?
Dishonored, they also made Dishonored, but no, this
Yeah.
is not an outside team. Also, just to say, I'll add, no, I agree with you, RHETRI. I think that Phil, when he said that, I thought that made a lot of sense, and it's part of his vision. And you can feel that allowing these studios to have their creative freedom matters to him. And I'm with that. That sounds good to me. My thing, though, would have to be quality control. Again, it has to be a case where they're on top of that and seeing how things are looking. It can't just be, oh, go do your thing. And then when it comes down to it,
100%
like,
agree with that.
I didn't expect it to look this bad, or I didn't expect this. No, you have to watch.
Should have checked in earlier with you guys. This is nope.
What's the saying? What's the saying, RHETRI? Trust, but verify.
Trust, but verify. Absolutely.
That's what should have happened. And I'll say this: Hi-Fi Rush was. I see Jack said that Redfall greater than Hi-Fi Rush. That's just wrong and blasphemy. I was so many levels right there, Jack. But you know, to each their own. But I'll say, you know, that's fine too. And somebody asked a really good question, I thought, and it's something I had always alluded to myself. The Geeky Nerd said, does 343 and the Coalition get to take chances, or are they just stuck? And that's something that I've said.
That's a
on
great
past.
question, actually.
It is, and it's something I've said before on past podcasts. Why don't they allow them to have that creative freedom? Why is it that they? And I guess we kind of know.
I think, you know the answer.
Yeah, but it's like
it's a tent pole.
It is.
You
had the situation where the coalition, we knew they were working on a new IP, and then all of a sudden that was canceled, and now they're back on Gears. It's like, why allow them to finish that game?
Yeah, the game that I want, the horror game with the Locust Horde. That's what they should be doing. Just saying, that's what I want.
Exactly. It's like allow them to finish that game. Allow them to get that out there, and then we can move on.
We get a comment from KSante.
Most studios will have, will have devs tinkering away, right? Because the people that actually work in the pre-production stage normally carry on to a point within the production phase, but then go off and create another creative hub within the studio where they're churning out other ideas. And this is what I mean by the green light process, is that I think, Infinite, you got a point. Phil shouldn't have seen the game $30 million in and said, what are we doing here? Right. So, okay, if I cut it, it's gonna kill us. If we don't cut, if we go ahead with it, it's gonna kill us. Right. So we're calling it a catch-22 situation.
Catch-22, absolutely.
So I think that the green light process, it reminds me of something with EA when they bought Bullfrog, right? The way that they changed and destroyed that studio, right? And that was I won't go into that now. It's a long story and a very old one, but it kind of does. It hasn't changed, right? The process in terms of how games are built. But what I'm saying is that having made Dishonored and Deathloop and so on and so forth. I don't know when Redfall came into full production, but there must have been, whether it was pre or prior or post the acquisition, right? So you have to kind of levy everything with that as well. The fact that the process in terms of how they put their ideas together, how they put either previses together, how they put even vertical slices together, if they're still doing that, or if they're able to do so, right? I think the God of War documentary is really good in that aspect, right? In terms of, but obviously not every game is created in the same way. But yeah, I think the green light process can showcase what the vision for the game is, what the art style for the game is, and again, people like Phil and the other people that they have within the studios, it's all a balance within the management team, right? That they've created before. They're able to have ideas, right, in terms of what sort of product will be successful longer term. And it may just be cookie cutter, right? And there maybe just be a normal run-of-the-mill formula, right? Because I don't think I played Halo. I enjoyed it. Of course, I think it could have been done better, but I think those are the issues that it had, right, are all to do with the fact that I'm assuming it was all new tech, right, rather than perhaps building it in existing tech, which is a huge strain, on the studio in itself, right? Because you're there in a department of the studio waiting either to do an animation, to make a rig, to how many polygons or what size textures can my assets have, right? But if the tools aren't there, you're being delayed, right? But you still got to hit deadlines and so forth. So there's lots of inherent problems in game development. I mean, someone said, it can't be that difficult. The car industries and the industry is far more complex than the gaming industry. It's not that difficult. It is difficult. It really is.
Oh my God.
You're creating everything from scratch, right? And the tools are changing constantly. People are changing constantly, and it is extremely specialized. And those other industries have got millions and millions and millions of people they can pull in from in terms of ability and know-how, right? The game industry, not so much. The real talent is very sparse.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. I definitely agree with that. Keasante saying Dishonored was made in France. Austin made Prey with Crytek Engine, and then Prey DLC with Unreal Engine 4, the best engine on planet Earth. Yes, appreciate that, Kay, for the insight. So absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, guys. It is what it is. The Band-Aid's been ripped off. Hopefully Xbox. I don't even want to say can turn it around, because I just rolled my eyes back in my head when I said that, because in my opinion, this is one game, and I think it's just easy to crap on Xbox, deservingly so. They have a reputation for stepping on rakes, as we say, but I think bigger picture, this is gonna be a blip in the radar. I really do. And I think Arcane will come back with another game that'll blow everyone away, and we'll forget about Redfall. When Starfield comes out, we'll forget about Redfall. When Age 4 comes out, we'll forget about Redfall. Like, it's just it's a hot topic issue. Yeah, it's a hot topic issue right now. You know, but just remember, guys, we're allowed to like bad games, and everyone's, you know, don't attack people because they like something, or even if they dislike something that you like. You know, this is the discourse. What's happening, what I've been seeing as I get older, is discourse is dying, and we need to not do that. We need to just be chill with each other, chill out a little bit. We all have different opinions. Don't call people names because their opinion doesn't, you know, line up with yours. Remember, this is video games, right?
That's right.
Shouldn't be taken too seriously.
RHETRI, you know, RHETRI says
we
he
disagree all
likes
the time.
me. RHETRI says he likes me, but everybody
nobody
else here
else
hates
does.
me.
That's right.
Thanks, RHETRI. You're my only friend.
But yeah.
Oh goodness.
It's human nature, RHETRI, because you know
It is.
opinions come from thought, right? And thought comes from your own knowledge, right? But inherently, thought creates conflict, creates division, and thus, you know, historically we end up having wars, right? So unfortunately, we can't get away from that. We just need to.
No, you're right.
Appreciate it's human nature, but we all try to get along, right? Because we all come from different walks of life, right? Whether we live in America or whether we live in China, the only difference is the civilizations that we're raised in, and the education and the knowledge and the culture that we've grown up. That's the only difference, right? Fundamentally, in terms of we all want to keep warm, we all want to eat, we all want a roof over our head, and we all want to care for our loved ones, right? We're all exactly the same.
Yeah,
that's a good question right there by Kay right there.
Yeah, I love this question.
Very good
and
points,
I love this question, Kay. And I've heard other people kind of talk about this as well. Kay Sante's asking, so the question is, should they clean it up and move along, or turn it into a Sea of Thieves game where they iterate on it like a gas game, games as a service game? Anyone, go for it. Roundtable. What do you guys think?
That personally, the problem with that, and I like the question, but the problem I have with that is this release it now, broken, and fix it later mentality that Microsoft desperately needs to get away from. Yes. I think all devs need to get away from it, because
I think that's plaguing the entire industry. Yeah,
it is. It's not only on Microsoft, but a first party. They cannot allow themselves to get into that trap. Sea of Thieves is an anomaly, in my opinion. I didn't expect it to. I don't think any of us expected Sea of Thieves to rebound like it did.
No way.
And to sell as well as it did. I mean, even if you go outside of just Game Pass on Steam and everything like that, it sells pretty well. It had been in the top 10 for like a year, I think, or so. And I was astonished when I saw that. I'm like, what? Like, I couldn't believe it. So I think more of the thing is that yes, they should clean it up. They absolutely should fix the mess that they made. I agree with that part. And Phil said they will. Phil said they will stick to this and get things good, straight as it can be. But my problem with that is also further, if you really look into it, and I'm saying, like, look at this critically, they can fix certain things. They can give us a 60 frames per second patch. They can possibly patch on gunplay improvements, which is a major issue. They can possibly add in, I don't know, more characters,
another island,
another island, more abilities, right? They can, a lot of these things can be added and make the game a bit better. However, the problem is the skeleton of this game is corrupted. That's the problem.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Sea of Thieves didn't have that issue where the skeleton was corrupted. It still had
foundation on this is a problem.
Exactly. Yep. And a lot of people had that question where they were like, well, why are you guys loving Star Wars, but it has bugs and all these other things? But why you're not?
Because the foundation was there.
That's right. Because the foundation of Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a great game. At the foundation of it, fundamentally, it is a good game despite those bugs. Those bugs can be patched. You cannot patch out and make a good game from the bones of or terrible bones of Redfall. That is the problem where they're having an issue here. Is what Phil was talking about. He just said it in a nicer way, where he said, creatively, they didn't meet or match what they wanted to do. He just said it in a nicer way. It's essentially saying that essentially the game did not reach what it should have done. The internals of it are not right. You know, that's essentially what it is. So that's a lot of things they can do outwardly to help improve it. That might make it even a more tolerable game. Might even take it up to a high 60 or something like that, right? It's very possible. But I don't think they can fix the core issue of Redfall in that time.
I have to agree. After playing this for a long time, I think there's like what I think they should do and what's going to happen. What's going to happen is I do think they're going to back it up, and they're going to back it up for a long time, even possibly to financial detriment to Microsoft. They're going to do it because Microsoft is the good guys, and they have to do it because it's like you put out this bad product, you got to try to turn the tide around a little bit on Redfall as a story, just like you did with the other games. But I do agree with Umbra. The bones of this game are so bad, it almost feels like you have to tear them down and start over in UE5. But on a real, a lot of people have said, like, and I agree with this, like, I don't know if 60 frames is going to fix this thing. Like, that's not really the problem here. I don't think it's the frame rate. It's fundamentally, there's some core gameplay mechanics and issues that are way more deep rooted in this game, in my opinion. Still having fun with it, though. Still having fun with it.
What are your thoughts on this, VJ?
I think Keosante makes a good point. You know, look, the horse is already bolted, so what do we do next? And I think Infinite Umbra's got a key point there. The fact that perhaps, look, you know, with Sea of Thieves, the foundation was there, so the game all it really needed was to be fleshed out. Was that the point you were making, Infinite? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm sorry. What was that? You say I missed that last.
I knew nobody listened to me. I knew it. I didn't.
No,
I listened to you.
No, I was just kidding.
I multitasked. I was typing on Twitter.
No, I'm just saying that obviously in terms of Sea of Thieves, the foundation was there, so all it really needed was content in terms
exactly.
Of
it's much like the Halo Infinite situation, VJ.
Yeah,
where the bones are good. It's just the content is lacking. That's what Sea of Thieves' problem was.
So I think in terms of Redfall, look, I'm not a full-on developer, even though I've been involved in development. So the key thing that comes to my mind is that when you've got a game in a situation like this, what you've got to have is somebody that is strong enough in terms of personality, somebody that can talk to Xbox management, and somebody who is willing to champion the game, because everything is on them. I know there was a gentleman that was brought on to, I've forgotten, he's left now, but he came on to help Halo 5, help finish it, and then left again. Somebody who was a luminary of Halo 5. Does anybody remember the guy's name? I forgot what his name was.
Jason.
Now. That's it. That's the guy, I think. Jason, yeah. I forgot his surname.
So
basically, he was brought on because he was somebody who knew Halo, and obviously moved on again. But the point I'm trying to make is that unless there's somebody at the studio that and the team itself, they've got to be behind it, and if they're committed to it, and I'm sure this decision is probably already made, because typically what happens after a game shipped, you have a period where I don't know if they still do this. It's a very good practice. It's called doing a post-mortem of everything that happened during the course of development from start to finish. So it becomes like a Bible or where you learn everything that you did right, everything you did wrong, so you don't make those same mistakes again, and you build on what you've learned. So the post-mortem is going to be critical, but while that's going on in parallel, somebody has to say, okay, look, you know, we're going to champion this game, because I'm sure there's staff there's a burn rate going on, and the last thing you want is if it's true that they made Dishonored or they made Prey, then obviously the studio has ability, and obviously as long as the key people are there and they have the support of Xbox management. So it's a two-way thing. So it's all about unity, it's all about belief, and it's all about what are the pros and cons of continuing with Redfall versus moving on to something new. But at the end of the day, all we can do at the end of the day is that if they are going to move ahead with it and besides the 60 frames per second patch, which seems to be more of a technical process rather than something to do with the whole of production, is just about, you know, who are the people that are staying there and what changes are occurring during and post the post-mortem exercise, and whatever the next project is that they've got planned. unless they go back to supporting something perhaps France is already working on. So as long as the studios, the people at the studio get to work on something meaningful going forward, whether it's Redfall or something else, I guess what I'm trying to say in a nutshell, and this kind of event doesn't happen again, I think is the most important thing.
Amen. I agree with that. October Snowman. Any points you want to make?
I think Umbra hit the nail on the head with the comment that he said about release the game now, fix it later. And I think that's a lot of the developers' mentality at this point is get the game out and listen to feedback, and then we'll fix the problems after. Let's just get the game out now. In that aspect, that's why I think they are going to fix the game. They're not going to just say, okay, let's move on to the next project. They're going to fix the game because that's their routine, that's their habit. So I don't see anything changing out of their habits at this point.
Yeah.
See, I've got two thoughts. I
just want to jump in real quick. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but we got to remember. Not trying to give you any crap, Jim, but it's not quite the developers that are really, in my opinion, the ones that are. No. I mean, developers have to fix the issue, but I don't think the developers are the developers are not the ones who said let's push Redfall out the door unfinished. That is 100% management and people above them. So there's that.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Then I'll change my comment to say that management needs to stop with that mentality and that habit, and they need to polish the games and make when Xbox first came out. The games came out and nobody really complained about bugs or anything. I mean, I'm sure they did, but it wasn't as routine.
It wasn't as prominent.
Yeah,
it's all the time now.
They're like, oh, this game's coming out this day. I'll wait 6 months for them to fix everything.
Yeah. Yep. I can't disagree with you. VJ, were you going to say something, brother?
No, I think our esteemed guest, Mr. Snowman, made a point there. Is the fact that it's the publisher, right? Xbox management made the decision to cut their losses now. That's what I'm afraid of, because 60 frames a second patch isn't going to take the whole studio, right? It'll take a small technical team to work on that. So it's the fact that if they decided that they were going to actually make this game better, they would have delayed it, and everyone would have moaned, but they would have accepted it. But somebody somewhere either assumed it was a good game, which is worse than somebody deciding, let's cut our losses here. So I don't know what decision was made where, right? Because obviously we don't have all the facts, right? Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. So
right, yeah.
Well,
I don't think they released the game thinking it was a good game. I think they released the game thinking it was good enough.
Yeah,
even that worries me.
Yeah.
Yep. And look, I mean, I have to agree with October. I think we've seen it. I think there's enough evidence over the last 40 years of that happening, especially in the last 10 years. I think we've seen it time and time again. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to getting the game out, appeasing your shareholders for your stock price. I mean, we've seen EA do this a million times. I mean, look at Battlefield's a perfect example. Everyone and their mother who tried that out told not a single person I know told them that should seen the light of day, and they didn't listen, and they ate it, and it's in Game Pass a year later. Not surprising. I mean, it has to be, but still,
and
that's suffered greatly.
That's a fair point, RHETRI, and that's a bar, by the way, that October dropped. It said it's not. They didn't think it was good. They just thought it was good enough.
Yeah,
I agree with that. They have to get out of that mentality 100%. Oh, it's good enough. Give it to them. No, that's why I said the minimum requirement should be an 80 in their minds. It should not be anything lower.
And here's the two things, right, RHETRI, is that first thing is you're talking about a first-party hardware manufacturer that is trying to establish itself as a key component of the industry, let alone comparing them to a third-party publisher who are appeasing shareholders because all they have is games, right? And number two is the fact that the game scored 62, and Phil's saying it was double digits that were off by. That's nearly 15% delta there. And if you're telling me that that's acceptable by a publisher, there's something drastically wrong at Microsoft.
I agree with you. That's why I'm so curious of what that number is, because and I agree with what Umbra is saying and what you're saying. What scares me is it.
Right. The digits with the numbers that we already have, double digits, and 65% or whatever, 64%, you know it's like a 15 to 20% delta in their understanding, you know.
Of where
So
it
what
should have
level-
landed. Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
And that's
So
huge.
what
That's
did
huge.
they think
That is
then
huge.
with that metrics? What did Microsoft assume it was going to be roughly the score?
That's the question of the day. That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
Did they think 76 was good enough? I don't know.
Well, here's the problem. If they thought, like, okay, we're going to release this game at 65, and it didn't even hit 65, that's not a good way to release a game either. You want to release a game and expect it to be a high rating. If they're releasing games saying, oh, we're expecting a 65 and we'll just fix it up later, that's not I mean, I don't want to say profitable, but that's not right, in my opinion. That's you know, we want good games. We don't want to, okay, the release date is in October, so I'm going to get the game in January when it's fixed.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
It could be like that.
Maybe, I guess the way I took it was when he said double digits, that he thought, you know, at least 10% more than
at
what
least
the score was.
10. Right.
So
Well,
in the
double digits would be
70s
10
is-
points, right? Right.
Right. So I'm assuming that he meant like 72, 75.
Bingo. That's
he
what I took it.
thought.
That's your
That's the way I
minimum.
took it.
That's how I took it too, Dave. Like your absolute
Okay.
minimum, he's talking double digits, would put you at a 72. Is that their threshold for a releasable game? Because like Umbra was saying, he would like them internally at least to be okay with like an 80 or above. And I kind of agree with that. That should at least be your goal, because at the end of the day, they had their scores and the internet said, here's your real score. You know what I mean? And which was very different than what they had.
Goodness.
The thing is, they've got the resources. They've got, you said, 40 years of this, right? They've got the historical data.
Yeah,
I think I don't want to call Phil out, but I think he pretty much knew that the game was going to score where it was going to score. They pushed it out, not assuming that there would be this kind of level of scrutiny, right? And the scrutiny is because the people that support Game Pass or play in the Xbox ecosystem have been starved of content. If this was one game in the batch of 3 or 4, we wouldn't even be discussing it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. They know they need more AAA cadence. They know they do. They need it.
If you take Warner Brothers, for example, right? I mean, they have some bad movies, but they have some good ones as well. And the popularity and they may release like Suicide Squad. Or, I don't know. Don't really watch their movies or Harry Potter or whatever, and the review really bad.
They're not good.
Then they release a Batman and it grosses $1 billion, and everybody's talking about that. And that's why I think that in a month's time, well, probably in less than a month's time, right? Is forgive me if I'm wrong, but is that when the Xbox event is?
Next month,
June 11th.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, though, by the way, the second Suicide Squad was okay.
I was going to say, I'm like, dude, the new Suicide Squad is awesome.
Right there.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, the first one is terrible.
Yes.
They revived it. They revived it.
I redeemed 30 days of HBO with Xbox. I don't think I have
There
any
you go.
excuse not to watch those 2 videos not to watch those 2 movies. I don't really watch much TV, so I'm definitely gonna take up Infinite Umbra's challenge there and figure out which movie was better.
Do not. Oh boy, I don't even want you to waste your time on the first one. You just pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It is.
I have nothing to compare it to.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, the second one's gonna look amazing then.
In comparison, yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I hope Infinite Umbra is singing to the exit credits right while I'm watching it.
Heck yeah.
We'll see.
You'll sing us out tonight, right, Infinite?
Thank you for joining Gamers Council. I don't know. I think of something.
I'm gonna have to commission a song now, man.
Think of a little jingle,
That's it. Pay royalties to Umbra. Well, I do want to thank October Snowman for jumping in and joining us. We're gonna have him step out, but I really appreciate you jumping in and hanging out with us tonight.
Thanks,
and
brother.
Hopefully, we might have you back on again, man. I thought you did really good. So
All right,
We'll set you up with a better mic so I can hear you more clearly.
Yeah, I got to get these whatever these headphones are that I'm using. I got to get better ones.
That's all right. We'll
get you set up
in the
for next
future.
time.
But like I said, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it, sir. And
All
have a
right,
great
thank you,
night,
guys.
man.
Later, man.
Thank you.
Later, brother.
Later, guys. Bye bye.
All right, and we're gonna have, I guess, another. At least we got time for another round.
Yeah, Go ahead. Sorry. I was going to say
you.
at least like one more topic. I was just going to talk
Mhm.
about Gran Turismo, but sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
What you were going to say.
No, that was what I was going to do. Let's see what's next. So that sounds good. Last thing I'll say in the chat is thanks to everybody for being here tonight. We're not quite done yet. We're still going to go on another topic, and also just in case you're jumping in and wondering where Rand is, Randall Thor 19. Fortunately, about 30 minutes before the show was going to start, he let me know that he tried to wait it out to see if he felt better, but he is unfortunately sick, under the weather, was heading to bed. So he said that he will be on a future show, and we just hope he gets to feeling better soon. Prayers go out to Rand. He's an amazing member of the community, and we love and respect everything that they do over at Xbox 2. And again, he will be back at a future date. And if you did tune in to hear him tonight, I'm so sorry about that. But we were blessed to have with the Infinite Umbra and VJ coming out of retirement. I love it. So all right, Retro, what you got for us? Last thing.
Yeah. So for the last thing, I think we'll probably end it with this: is Gran Turismo coming out with the movie. So I'm just going to play the trailer right now. The volume, I'm sorry, guys, is not full blast. I was a little worried the music on it was going to get us in trouble, but here.
I find it very interesting, and it's based off a true story too. So wow.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. VJ, do you gotta go, brother? I saw you.
Yeah, just in a moment. Yeah, just in a couple of minutes. I was worried about overstaying my welcome, and now I'm worried about leaving.
You would never overstay your welcome here, VJ. The door is always open for you, sir. I'll tell you that right now. Thank you
so much.
Yeah. Do you have any input on the trailer you just saw? I don't know if you have to leave like right now or
no. I'm good. Just I just wanted to give you fair warning. I would never give you like a such short notice.
Oh no, you're good.
I don't really watch much movies or TV shows, but I don't know why, but when I was watching that trailer, I was expecting Herman Hulst to make an appearance somewhere, some sort of, as a CEO or as a driver. I don't know why. It's just like,
see if he was in the background as one of the extras.
Yeah, he's just got one of those faces, right? He just like might have been, like sitting in a vehicle or something, with a grimace on his face, saying, but like we can't churn out first party games quick enough or whatever. I don't know, but it's just really interesting, right? I know there's the Last of Us show. And there was a Halo show, so I guess the technology's there, and the awareness is there, and obviously the synergy between films and games. Obviously, it's worked well for Spider-Man, and they're probably looking at data and kicking off all these sorts of other TV shows, sort of representing their IP to a broader audience. And I saw somebody's message. I don't know if it was in the chat or if it was actually in the trailer that that they weren't too taken with the game, but they're very much looking forward to the movie. And cars is something I know very, very little about. I know go-karting, and that's about it. And maybe Outrun and Power Drift in the arcades and Chase HQ. And nice. Sega Rally was another favorite of mine. But Gran Turismo was just that little bit beyond me. But yeah, no. I mean, look, if we all love all different forms of entertainment. If it comes out and it pleases the crowd, I'm all for it.
Awesome.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, and that was in chat. You saw that.
As with all things, as with all things, be it games or movies, I hope that they come out great. I will be honest though, this did nothing for me.
That's not moving the needle for you?
Not at all. I definitely would not be going to see this. I said it before, and I think on a previous podcast where
you did.
The only movie I thought that was like good racing movie. Last one I can think of was Days of Thunder or something. That's about. And I didn't go to the movie to see that either. But it had Tom Cruise in it, so I will say they have David Harbour, they have Orlando Bloom, they have Shaun Hansu, who by the way
awesome
is
actor.
About to be 60 years old, and the man still looks crazy young.
Oh,
that's that melanin.
Yep.
But yeah, man, I hope it's great. I will say, for those who fans of the franchise, I hope it's great because I never hope negative on anything. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But it does not pull me to it. It's not for me. I I don't believe. It's just not something. Man, I'm going to go see that Gran Turismo movie. I have no hype whatsoever for it.
Fair
And
enough.
I think, and it's been a while since I've been at the theaters like this anyway. So it's got to be something
Yeah.
that really, really pulls me. Something like a Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's something that will make me go to see it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm invested in that. But I don't know. But I hope it's well. I hope it's solid. They do have Neil Blomkamp directing it.
Yeah. Yep.
So
That's kind of a plus in my
that is a
opinion as
plus,
well.
absolutely, because he's a solid director. I just don't know. But
Hey, if it don't hit for you, don't hit for you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah.
you
I will
can
say,
hate me now.
you can hate me now, but I won't stop now. I will say though, it does. I'm not trying to sound negative here, but it does look markedly better than the Uncharted movie.
Yeah, you know,
And I did not
yeah,
like
marketing.
that, by the way. I watched it after the fact.
Yeah, yeah, the Uncharted movie was very okay. I didn't wasn't a big fan of it. I didn't the way they marketed it. I was like, I don't remember who directed it, but it looked like Jerry Bruckheimer. It just everything was blowing up, and it was just over the top. And it was like I wanted Indiana Jones, a new age indie, and that's not what we got. But I gotta be honest with you. And when Boom actually told me the premise of this movie, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's based on like a guy playing a video game and then becomes a real race car driver." And then I was like, "Well, that sounds stupid." But then I didn't realize it was like based on a true story.
True story.
So yeah, I don't know how true. I haven't done my research. I'm sure this is exaggerated to the nines, but I gotta be honest with you, I kind of thought the trailer was kind of cool. I don't, I have to do more research on it. I want to know like did this guy race like one race? I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe it was the music. I don't know. It brought me back to the 90s, but I thought it looked all right. Dave, what's...
I'll have to admit, man,
What do
I
you think?
saw it, and it is actually based on a true story. I mean, obviously they took some license with some of the effects and stuff, but yeah, that a kid playing games would actually get to the point to where he was really good, and then
what do they say? That hand-eye coordination, baby.
Exactly.
They've done studies,
and they had a tournament to where to pick one to go and try out for. I mean, it's kind of a I don't know a Rocky or a Goliath story type thing, and it's really cool that it did happen. The kid actually got to get to get to see his dreams through, and it looks like it's a well done premise. It's not, at least it's not like Gran
like
Turismo,
cheesy.
yeah. Some fake drivers and stuff, or
that's kind of what I expected. That's what I expected, and then I
we
watched the
have that
trailer and I
already?
was like,
When Talladega Nights, if you're not first, you're last.
yeah, you're last. That's right. Yeah, Dion Hayes mentions a great movie, Ford versus Ferrari, phenomenal racing movie.
You all only thought it was great because it had Thor in there with his golden hair.
Or with his big hammer.
I actually forgot he was in it. But yeah, that movie was awesome. But goodness. I think kind of like the bigger topic really for me about this is just seeing more video game IP hitting the small screen, hitting the big screen. We got like getting into the shows. We've had the Halo show. We got the oh geez, what was the show? What was the one we just talked about? Another one Umbra actually didn't think looked good. I can't remember what the heck it was. The Twisted Metal coming out.
Oh yeah. Yep. Real quick, didn't mean to interrupt you, but VJ, it does have to go ahead and take off. VJ, man, thank you so much
VJ.
for being here.
Not at all. I just want to say bless you all and thank you so much for having me on. It was really nice to meet you, Infinite Umbra.
You as well, brother. By the way, I always wanted to ask, why do you have the PG coffee cup there?
It's PG Tips is a brand of tea in the UK. So there was a promotion where they gave away these cups, and I always drink PG Tips. It's my go-to brand. So
there you go. He just really likes it.
I try coffee.
I
I
thought
tried
it,
to-
I always wondered. I'm like, why does this man have a cup of coffee on this thing? Because so everybody doing their little podcasting thing, they usually get like a PFP to represent them and everything. So I was just always wondered that.
I know it's just my special mug that I have a cup of tea with. So I made sure I had a cup of tea to do this show. It just keeps my vocal cords lubricated. So,
Good idea.
You really love
We
them.
do
Okay.
really appreciate you answering the call tonight, man. And I really mean
Anytime.
it. I would love to have you on again.
Thank
so
you.
so thank you again, sir, and you have a great
Appreciate
night.
it.
What's your
VJ.
Twitter, VJ?
I've actually just taken a screenshot, so I'm going to follow all of you. But I'm at Viewpoint Gaming, and as long as Infinite Umbra promises to sing more than a few, say 3 verses, and I'll be on.
Fantastic.
Tune in on Xbox Factor sometimes. You'll hear me occasionally start popping off with songs.
Yeah. And also,
true.
after the show is over and posted, I will put up everybody's links in the description below so everybody can check them out. I just don't have time to do it at this moment when I had to change everything on the fly for the show to start, but I will get that. Again, VJ, thank you so much for being here, buddy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I have a great
Appreciate
time.
it. Thank you, VJ.
That
Yeah,
was really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool for him to answer the call. I just think it's kind of cool that whether good or bad, I guess I think it's cool that we're seeing IP hit the small and the big screen. I mean, we got Amazon Studios is making the Fallout, and I think personally Fallout is probably going to be the thing closest to The Last of Us in production value and probably critically. I think it's going to end up being good. That's just my opinion. They get the right people behind it. They get the right actors. So I think that's going to be exciting. But that's all I got for tonight. I think we've gone pretty far tonight. So
Well,
that's all I got. Dave.
Infinite. Let's tell everybody where they can find you and about your new show that you have with Daniel McGee. That's doing really well.
Yes, it's getting there. I was thinking, man, it'd be nice to have you guys join me this week. Would you all be down for that?
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
I'm available.
Yeah.
Thursday
night. Okay, perfect. I'll talk to you more behind the scenes. But
yep, for sure.
Absolutely. This was a good talk right here. I feel like we had so much more to talk about. Like
there's always more, right?
Yeah,
like we could definitely be like an ILP. We could go for 4 hours, but my bladder can't handle that.
Yeah, so much more that I feel like this has to be covered. But maybe we can do a part 2 on the fix. How about that?
Absolutely.
So yeah, you guys, of course, you can find me on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite, as you see here on the screen, and you'll find me either way. And on Tuesdays at 12 Eastern on Xbox Factor, along with my boy RHETRI here and Daniel McGee. By the way, WebDave is on Monday's show. And hit a thumbs up, shing.
And Fridays too.
Yeah, little sound effect.
And Fridays, and
I'm
of course,
2 shows.
Yeah, he's on 2 of them.
He's on all the shows.
Yeah. And of course, my show, The Fix, if you all have not subscribed there. Matter of fact, let me grab my
grab your link. Grab your link.
Plus, it will be in the description. I will add
link
it after
whores.
this, I promise.
Nice. Yeah, right. Link whore. I don't know why I wasn't thinking to do that. Let me do that now.
I always forget to do that too. It's like the last thing I always forget to do that.
But everybody's links will be in the description below after this post. I promise.
Nice. And of course, so you all can subscribe there if you haven't, and if you feel that my humble personage is worth following. So yeah, we go live on Thursdays on The Fix at 8:00 Eastern. And we try to keep it succinct until up to 2 hours at the most, if that much, as well. And now you just heard I'll likely have RHETRI and Dave join myself and Daniel this Thursday. So come by, guys, and support us all. And of course, also the Xbox Infinite podcast on Fridays with myself, Risky for the Biscuit, Jedi Knight Peter, and Doom Cutie. So you all come through for that as well. That's at 8:00 Eastern as well on Fridays. So yeah, thank you all for having me. It was a pleasure to jump in.
Thank you, sir. We really
Thanks
appreciate
for stopping
you
in, brother.
up tonight, man.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
Just ring that bell. Let me know.
Appreciate that.
Awesome. RHETRI, sell your brand there, buddy.
Sure. Me. I'm on the Twitters. Game Pass _daily. It's right there on your screen. And Game Pass Daily on YouTube, where I do all my Game Pass stuff because I'm a Game Pass. I am a shill when it comes to Game Pass. I will admit on that one. And of course here, thank you guys for all being here and supporting this channel and this growing podcast. It is greatly appreciated, especially for someone like me who's kind of new to this game. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It really, really is. So thank you guys so much. And of course, you know, I'm on Boom's podcast as well on Tuesdays with Umbra and everybody else, the Xbox Factor podcast. But, you know, Boom don't need my help. I need his help. So he needs to come on the show too. That's all I got. That's all I got, Dave. Thank you guys for coming
He was out
out.
with dinner with the missus tonight. He did message
That's
me back a
right.
little later saying, "I'm
Yeah.
so sorry I couldn't be on. I'm at dinner with the missus." And also, I want a big thank you goes out to October Snowman who jumped in and joined us tonight
Yes,
too.
thank you, Jim. Appreciate it,
Greatly
brother.
appreciate you doing that, sir. And thanks everybody for being here tonight. Again, last thing I will say is that hearts go out to Randall Thor 19. He is under the weather
Mhm.
tonight, and hopefully he'll get to feeling better soon. And he did say he would try and be on a future podcast, and that's all we can hope for. A great member of the community and an amazing guy. And so again, I apologize if you guys did want to jump on and to see Rand, but he will be back at a later date. You know, life is real, man. It happens. He was under the weather, so that's just the way it goes.
Yep.
But we
real
do
life.
also want to say thank you to everybody for being here. Please hit the subscribe button. We're going to have some more things in the future coming up.
Oh,
I
yes.
gotta talk to you about this in a minute, Retri. After we get off
Yep.
the air, I forgot to tell
Yep.
you this part. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us here on the Gamers Council. Thanks, guys.